Good morning, brother, and welcome to another daily devotional. Hard to believe another week has passed. How the weeks and months and years fly by. Anyway, we're in Psalm 44, and today we're going to be thinking about verses 9 to 16. But before we do that, let me take you instead to Psalm 55 and verse 23. There we are told, "Cast your burden on the Lord." That's exactly what the psalmist does here in verses 9 to 16 of this psalm. Because what we have in this section is a record in the form of an outpouring of the psalmist's heart to God in prayer, a record of the sad plight of God's people at the time when the psalmist was writing this psalm. It wasn't that God was unaware of what was happening to his people. God, of course, knew. The psalmist wasn't telling God in order to inform him. Rather, he was unburdening his own heart to the Lord in the midst of what was happening. It is therapeutic to pour out your soul to God. And as you read through these verses, you can't help but notice how many times the psalmist uses the word you. In fact, in almost every verse, he begins with the word you. And in doing that, he is actually ascribing the present circumstances, the present experiences of the people of God to God's agency. He's saying, you have done this. You have brought this about. You have allowed this to happen. Look at those verses. You have not gone out with our armies. You have, you have, you have, you have. The psalmist knew that all things in life, no matter what they are, they do not just happen. God sits on his throne. He governs all the affairs of men. I'm not going to go through the list that the psalmist speaks of in these verses, the list of their troubles. You can read them for yourself. But there's no doubt he and his people were going through very troublous times, and the psalmist felt awful about it. You see that in verses 15 and 16. He rightly wondered, why is all these things happening to us? Why has God apparently forsaken us and forgotten us? Why, at the very least, is he not acting on our behalf, not seen to be acting on our behalf? For the psalmist, it was confusing. It was mysterious. It was a real test of this man's faith. Brethren, like the psalmist, we too at times can find ourselves facing situations in life which are difficult and, here's the thing, hard to explain. Times when it seems as though, rather than being for us, God appears to be against us. Times when it seems as though God is the one who is bringing trouble and suffering upon us. And we just can't fathom why such should be the case. Well, like the psalmist, we should go to God and pour out our complaint to God and cast our burden upon God. The wonderful thing is, God allows us to, can I use the word, he allows us to complain to him. He certainly allows us to be honest with him about how we are feeling. Such times in life when we suffer hardship, they test our faith. The good thing about this psalm is that the troubles the psalmist was facing didn't drive him from God, they drove him to God, albeit with many concerns, questions, and yes, even complaints. Now, God willing, on Monday we will follow the psalmist on as he continues through this psalm to pour out his soul to God. But in the meantime, dear fellow believer, cast your burden on the Lord. God can handle our frustrations. And yes, he can even handle our complaints. May God bless you.